So lovely to have you here from Western Australia. So you're a couple of hours before us. So
Yeah.
Dave, we had Chris Moji on here about a month ago, actually. He said, you've got to get Dave on. And I know your work. We've co-authored a book previously around
Yep.
leadership. So I know that you are as passionate about leadership as I am, as
Yes.
well as Andrew is as well. So you are a sought-after keynote speaker. You run your own company, CEO and founder of the Circle Leadership. You have written multiple books as well, which is just amazing. The Pandemic Playbook, Fit for Purpose Leadership, Simplified, Pivot and Grow, Women Leading, and you're currently writing your next book as well. So how AI can make workplaces more human. You are also the father of the year, 23 years in a row, or
Yeah,
25.
not bad out of 25.
Yeah, and husband of the year 13 times in the past 15 years. So there was a couple of
Yeah,
years.
it'll be coming up 17. Don't get me in trouble. It'll be 17.
And
Or I'll still be 13 out of 18 if I get my years wrong.
and you're a mad Elvis impersonator.
Thank you. Thank you very
Like
much.
what does that mean that you do? Like tell me
Okay,
about
well, that
that. You
just
just
means
doing a
that anytime we
barbecue
do
or
we do karaoke, which is not often, but when we do, all I can do is Elvis. And my wife thinks anything that I sing sounds like Elvis whenever I sing it. No matter what song I sing, she goes like, "Are you trying to do Elvis doing that person doing that song?" Yeah,
and
and actually, growing up, the rumor in my family is that I was adopted. So I'm one of three brothers, and my two brothers always tease me about being adopted because I look a little bit different, and I'm probably the black sheep of the family. And the fact is that my older brother looks like my mom, my younger brother looks like my dad, and I always said I got the best of both. But mom disappeared to watch an Elvis concert in Buffalo because we're Canadian,
yeah.
and 9 months later I was born. So there's the potential that it
Oh,
might have been
there's
my
some
father.
questioning.
So yeah, and I'm the
Questioning.
only son who likes Elvis. Mom and I love Elvis, and that's it. So
Ah,
yeah,
right.
so
Mystery
it's
deepens.
yeah. So and I sung Elvis to my wife at our wedding.
Did you?
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
been to Graceland?
No, and the funny thing is, I'm the only one who's never been to Graceland.
Oh my God.
My
I
brothers have,
went.
my wife has, my parents have, and I've never been.
You've got to go. I went maybe 20 years ago now, and I just absolutely loved it. I absolutely
Uh,
loved it as
I think
well.
I might be too afraid to admit that he's actually gone.
Well, I'm really keen to talk about leadership. The whole purpose
Yes.
of these leadership lounge sessions were really just to have an opportunity to have Andrew with us. Andrew is an amazing leadership expert, publisher, author, and just business coach. And Andrew and I have known each other for a long time. And I said to him, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, I said, I just reckon that we could add value by talking about leadership models, frameworks,
Yeah.
challenges that we see every single day. So I'm really keen to hear. I know you really think that we need to lead, not lead differently, what we were talking about,
Yeah.
but lead different.
Yeah.
So tell us your thinking in that space.
Yeah. Just fundamentally, Kylie, if you look at it, there's, Deloitte and Gallup, they do their studies every year on employee engagement. And,
Yeah.
people like yourself and I know that the statistics are not changing hardly at all. So what they're suggesting is 142 countries, 70% of the workforce, 900 million employees approximately are disengaged in the work that they're doing.
Yeah.
So which is fine. So we see that and we go, okay, great. Well, we need to do some work on that. So we spend all this money then on leadership development,
Yeah.
right? Now, in the world, we spend approximately 50 billion, that's with a B, on leadership development, on university courses, programs, books, you name it, to make leadership better.
Yeah.
So if we're spending $50 billion to make it better,
Yeah.
the statistics aren't getting any better. The numbers actually, you're possibly getting worse.
Yes. Yes.
You have to go, something's broken. So I believe that leadership is broken and
Yeah.
that we need to lead different because most of what we teach people under leadership is actually just modern management practices. It's not really leadership. And to me, leadership is all about people. So you lead people and you manage resources, and
Yeah.
people are not a resource.
Yeah, yeah,
Yet we have human resources when we should have resources for humans.
yeah,
And when we talk about this, so for me, why I think it's time to lead different is that we need to actually lead from a people first point of view, where the work that, we have our definition of leadership, which I'm happy to share, but fundamentally it says I care about you as a human being first, an
yeah,
employee second. And this is why I think we need to lead different, because it's not working.
yeah, yeah. And those stats that you're sharing are actually 2022 Gallup survey, right?
Yeah.
So this is recent stuff. And I've talked about this previously, and I'll just throw another stat that came from the Gallup survey was 49% of people that have a job now are looking for another job,
Yeah.
right? So you really have to question. And again, we know from research that people leave managers, not companies,
Yeah.
right? So if I think about every single job that I left prior to becoming self-employed,
Yep.
it was not the company I was leaving, it was the management.
Yeah.
So, that kind of figure that you were talking about that we're spending on leadership development, I'd love to drill down into it even more than that, because I know so many organizations, Dave, that actually don't invest in their leaders, and they don't use that money to invest in their leaders. They just expect their leaders to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, who to do it with. And I often find that so often many people are put into a leadership role because they're great at what they did, great technicians, great practitioners, but no one's ever taught them how to lead. And we know that leadership is a learned skill. There's a number of different competencies. So if we're going to put them into a role and not give them the training, then we're setting them up to fail. So I'm really passionate about this as well, because I think to myself, if we're going to put a leader in a position, then we've got to set them up for success. We've got to provide them with the tools, the resources, the support they need in order to be able to lead the people, because it's the people that get the results. It's the people
Yes.
that drive the strategy.
Yep. Yeah. So you have, and you see this classic in many organizations, that you have a person who's doing a function in the organization, and so they're responsible for product and then process and then people. Then they get into a leadership role where they should be responsible for people, process,
People?
and product,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
they hang on to what has made them successful in
Yeah.
that role, right? And it's kind of like what I call the leadership fatigue. It's like hanging on the monkey bars. They're grabbing on both bars. They haven't let go of the one that they need to reach and grab the next one. And
Yeah.
so they're just sitting there trying to hold on to the leadership one and to their old one, and they're
Yeah.
getting fatigued. And therefore, they're then taking it out on the team because they don't know how to help other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in their care and beyond, because they haven't been trained to. You're just the best performer, so we're putting you in charge of people. And this
Yeah.
is what's happening. So to your point, yes, they're not investing. And when they are investing, they're investing in the same thing that they've always invested in and getting the same results, which is not what they want.
Yes.
Right? Because what they're doing is they're investing in programs. Now, you and I know more than anyone else that leadership is a process, not a
Yeah.
program. You cannot go away for 5 days to some 5-day course and come back with a big fancy certificate, stick it up on the wall behind your head and go, look at me, I'm a leader now.
Yeah.
Leadership is a process, not a program. You can't learn leadership in 5 days. Don't talk to me about leadership, fella. I know leadership.
Yeah. You say that the people, process, product, right,
Yeah.
makes absolute sense to me, because it really is the people that are going to get us the results.
Yep.
But when you think about your clients, or even what you know around leadership, are they investing in senior level leadership? Which I often see is, let's invest in our senior leaders, our C-suites, and let's put the money there. Whereas to me, it's those middle managers. And I run a webinar once a month, and I talk about how to transform your middle managers into higher performing leaders, because the middle managers are the one that are leading the masses. They're the ones that are influencing. They are taking the strategy from the senior leaders and driving that to execute and operationalize it. Well, operationalize and execute it. But I see some of the time they're missed out.
Yeah. Now, this is where you and I will violently agree, but have a different philosophy or approach to it, because I don't believe in top-down leadership. Okay, this is when I talk about time to lead different. This is one of the key things for me, and this is where I think I may have mentioned to you when we were talking about getting onto this, is the difference between an ecosystem of leadership and an ecosystem of leadership.
Yeah,
Ecosystem of leadership says, I'm the boss, you're my subordinate, you report to me, I'm the C-suite, I'm the and I pass down from the mighty mountain all the information for you to go and do and execute. To your point, in those organizations, I 100% agree with you. We are not investing in the right layers and levels of people to teach them leadership. But also the challenge you have is when you're the leader of one of those C-suite and then you're developing this layer that you're talking about. One of the things we challenge leaders in an organization is, first and foremost, you have to go first so your team can go further. You have to create the space and capacity for those people to be involved. Because same as when you get to here, these people, they get bigger than you and you try to push them down and suppress them because they're getting more than you. Or they go, bugger this, I'm out of here. This is why people lead their leaders.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things that we believe in is all around leadership, not top down leadership. You can have a positional leader, but leadership is an all around thing where everybody answers to something first, not to someone. And when you create this ecosystem organization where we've got a culture where everybody's lifting everybody up, and instead of one where we're pushing people down, and you develop all around leadership, then all of a sudden you're investing at leadership, building your bench strength, if you wish, your leadership depth and strength of your organization all around, because you do not need a position or title to demonstrate leadership.
Yeah. What are the challenges, though, do you find? Because I agree. This is, we're not just having one great leader. We're having, it's the culture of leadership. It's the way in which we lead.
Hey, speaking of one great leader, what a beautiful segue into the return of Andrew Priestley.
Yeah, one great leader.
Yeah, with very bad internet.
I knew something was wrong. I said, we'll keep going. I knew you would pop in.
You know that feeling when you're trying everything.
Yeah, and you're at the stage
up a bit of a sweat.
You're about to jump in the car and drive to the nearest McDonald's for free Wi-Fi.
I was halfway there, and then I thought, I've got to work. Give me the bottom line. Jump to the bottom line. What's
we're talking about right at the moment? We're talking about all around leadership versus top down leadership, and looking at how do we develop leadership within the organization. And Kylie and I were talking about, we don't invest enough in those middle layers or middle management type roles. And I'm saying, well, what if we actually got rid of that as a concept and had all around leadership and developed that in our organization? So I say we both agree that that's leadership needs to happen, and development and training has to happen in that space. But why do it when we have a top down or anything like that? And just you and I have had these conversations in the past, Andrew, about the ecosystem of leadership versus the ego. So that's where we were.
Yeah. I was on a call yesterday with a very large company here in the UK, and they said, we don't have the budget for middle management leadership. That was their call to me, right? We were talking just on this issue, and then when it came down to it, no, we just don't have the budget for that. And I said, okay, but you actually don't know the cost of not having it.
Yes.
Yeah, you know that bonus your C-suite executives aren't going to get this year because you didn't invest in your middle management.
Yeah.
But Andrew, and I know many of our listeners are trying to influence up to their organisation, to their leaders around, let's invest in leadership, whether it be for themselves or whether it be for their divisional leaders. There's 2 points I want you to talk about, Andrew. How do you think someone like a leader takes that up in order to influence up? And then Dave, I'm really keen for you to talk about this ecosystem and how it kind of the real life application of what it might look like in an organization as well, because I just think it makes total sense. But I'm wondering if our listeners might go, how do we do that really? How does that really look?
Absolutely.
So how would you, Andrew, and maybe Dave, you would even know this as well. How would you even help leaders to position that? Because we know that the C-suites are not going to get their bonus. And then we also know the cost of poor leadership. We're talking in America, $405 billion of cost of poor leadership, 50 billion in Australia.
Yeah. Forget how much they're spending on leadership development. The cost of poor leadership in terms of that, the investment and the return and the engagement rates that we talked about, it's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly then, I have to premise this with our definition of leadership, which I've already shared by osmosis. But first, you have to work on what do you mean by leadership. So I think I always start people, if you want to create an ecosystem of leadership, you have to get clear on what you mean by the word leadership. And everyone has their own perspectives or interpretations. I'm going to preface my answer based on ours. So our definition of leadership is fundamentally, leadership is all about helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while they're in my care and beyond.
You like it, yeah.
Right? So in that, it says that I don't need a position or title to demonstrate leadership, first and foremost. So I don't have to have a position to do. And then secondly, it says in my care and beyond, it means I care about you as a human being first and an employee second.
Yeah.
So firstly, if you adopt that as a leadership philosophy, not modern management definitions, then what happens is I can then create an organization that's built on an ecosystem where we can have everybody kind of, which way do I need to stand here? Behind me here is the circle of organizational leadership, which you imagine this is a round table. King Arthur, the knights, a round table. The knights get invited to the table. They sit around. Arthur created a round table because he felt for men to feel like men, they must first be treated as equals. So we create these round table philosophy in an organization where people, to feel like people, they should be treated as equals. Now, everyone has different roles and responsibilities in this, but we're all equal when it comes to the purpose through the lens of the values, which is why we all answer to something first, not to someone. And all decisions and all ideas are generated through the values to the purpose. And therefore, we're all making the decisions through that in our organization. So now we can actually get people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work. We can delegate outcomes to people, not tasks. We can create this circle here where we have these people sitting around and we're able to facilitate conversations so that the best idea wins, not the king's idea, because King Arthur takes his crown off and sits at the table as an equal. His job is to be the coach and facilitator. So all of a sudden now we have coaches, not bosses. We don't need hierarchy. We have coaches, not bosses of that circle. And then guess what? When I turn from that team, and here's my team that I'm off of that leadership circle, and this is my team, then guess what? It's the same philosophy over here. And then that person there, so all of a sudden, it's kind of like a cellular structure to your organization. And then you create all-around leadership, not top-down. We have everybody making decisions from the purpose, through the values to the purpose. Core decision-making filters are in place. We have the frameworks in place. Everybody knows why we're here, how we think around here, what objectives we have to achieve. We're all delegating outcomes, not tasks people. We've got coaches, not bosses. We're allowing learning moments and coaching moments to happen in our organization. And all of a sudden, we're letting people be people and do the work that humans must do. And we're getting them to be paid to think. Right? Because I know, Andrew, you're probably way too young for this, Scully, but Andrew and I, we were brought up in the world of Andrew, you're paid to work, not to think.
Yes.
Right. And now I joke with leaders and said, hey, Kylie, you're paid to think. And while you're here, if you have to do some work, that's okay.
Well, I think we're going into a stage of you paid to feel.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Well, how we think, when thinking and feeling, go hand in hand, I would agree, without a doubt.
Yeah. I have a building on what you said, Dave. I'm working with a client who they have a very enlightened approach to leadership until it's pushed.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a guy who was very, very frustrated. He's in the middle management, right? And he wants to progress. And they say the comment was, yeah, well, in a little while. What does that mean? We'll give it a couple of years, 3 years. And he said, like, I'm already getting poached to go elsewhere where I can be a leader, right?
Yeah.
I am a leader, but I'm not going anywhere as a leader. I'm not moving up. I've still got the same remit I had 4 years ago, right? And the people under him are also frustrated. They want to step into leadership, so there's just not the mobility for them, right? And he said, "What should I do?" I said, "I'd leave." If someone wants to headhunt you at 1.5 times, 2 times your salary on now, I'd just go to that one, right? Or if you're going to stay, just treat it as an internal business, your own internal entrepreneur within that business. But I said, are you on performance? No, I'm not. So there's all those sort of issues around. It goes from motivation back to hygiene, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's And I know there's a question that's come up. So to Andrew's point and the question that's coming up, are you going to read that question out, or are we going to?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that too, but I'd love to hear yours, Dave, and I know Andrew will have it too. So we've got a question: is in your collective experiences, how often have you encountered businesses investing in identifying future leaders at the recruitment level or thinking 3 roles ahead? Right. So if a business identifies the potential leader early on, would that make it easier for a company to invest in leadership training? Just a thought.
Yeah, Dave.
Okay, well, so firstly, I want to address your point and link it to this, and then answer this, right? So the challenge organizations have today is that one of my little Clarisms, those quirky quotes that fall out of my mouth that sometimes make sense, is that when your people can see the future of the organization, they can then see themselves having a future in your organization.
Mm.
And so when people if they don't know what the roadmap is, and this is why we help people build this business evolution roadmap so they can see what the future looks like. And hey, here's why we do what we do, how we think about it, the world we're creating, the business we're building. Here's what 3 years looks like, 1 year looks like, 90 days. That person can go, oh, okay, I can start to see where the leadership opportunities will present for me, and I can start to see my progression in that. Then when we're recruiting people in, we should be recruiting people in to do the job today, but hiring them for the one they're going to do in a year or 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So we should be looking for that potential. Like when you bring somebody into your sporting team to fill a position, but your job is to cultivate that player to become the best that they can be, to play that role or another role or whatever it might be in your organization going on.
Mm.
Correct. And also we have to get out of this mindset of we hire people to do jobs. Okay, we're hiring people to achieve outcomes. When we hire people to do a job, everything on my job description is my job. Everything that's not on it is not my job.
Yes.
So we need to get away from this one. Again, Kelly, gotta lead different. It means we have to look at the way that we do job descriptions. We don't do job descriptions. We do roles and responsibility templates. We hire people to achieve objectives or outcomes. And then, you don't have all this defined nature in that sense. Now, it can seem a little bit like loose for a lot of people, but it's not. It's structure and it's frameworks, because we want to make sure that we identify those people and how we can help them evolve, because our business will only evolve as much as we and or our team do. So that's why you do need to be hiring people for that future. But you also have to understand that in today's world, in the gig economy, in a global economy, liquid workforce, all this stuff going on, people might only be in your business for 3 months. Some will be in there for 3 years. Some might be in there for 10. Some might be for 6. It's not going to be business as usual.
Yeah.
It's definitely all that. And again, last week I had a situation where somebody said, we did all this leadership development, sent the guy to Harvard, right, over at Harvard Business School. He got really, really G'd up by going to that thing and then left. He quit. As soon as he got back, he quit. He said, I'm just not going to, I
do that here.
It made him more employable in another arena. People say, oh, yeah, you've done that. Why don't you come and join this team? So, hey, the question too, Dave, and this is a really big one. All the indicators are that millennials are going to be running the shop by about 2030.
Yep.
And they lead totally different. They want different configurations than the boomers, right? As I say, we were do what you do. Just do the job, but do what we tell you to do is how I grew up, right?
Yeah, I'm the first of the Gen X's, mate. Don't throw me in the boomer class, right?
Oh, I'm in the boomer box. Sorry.
Okay, we're just either side of the fence.
Well, when I started out, electricity was just coming in, mate. So that changed everything about leadership. Yeah.
Now you're showing your age.
Yeah. So it's interesting point you raised, Andrew, because the Gen Zs, forget the millennials, the next generation behind the millennials, they don't want to work for you. Wherever you are out there, they don't want to work for you.
Yeah.
Right? And millennials are leading differently, that they want to work-life integration. If you go back to my parents were work to live, us Gen Xers were work-life balance, which is bogus anyway. And now the kids today are, say kids are 30, 35 years old now, they're work-life integration. And then we're at the stage where the Gen Zs, they want to do stuff that has a sense of meaning and a purpose to it. And they need to make money. They want that, but they want an experience. They want to work to be an experience, not just gain experience from working. They want work to be an experience. They want to work in cool, funky places. So all of you employers out there, let me tell you that the next generation do not want to work for you right now based on the way you structure your organization. They don't.
No.
Well,
And
I
it doesn't
think
mean they're lazy, and that's the problem. We're trying to say that these kids are lazy. They don't want what we wanted, and that's okay.
And they're
yes,
not lazy. They're not
No, they're
lazy.
not.
no,
They're going to go and
they're
do
not.
stuff and create
They're
businesses.
motivated.
No,
Yeah.
they're going to
They're
create businesses
motivated.
that'll put you out of business because they don't want to work for you,
But-
so they go do their own thing.
This is a
Yeah.
really important point. I was talking to young people about money recently at university, and they're not lazy. They said, so when you started, to buy a house was 2.5, 3 times your salary, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's 9 times our salary
Yeah.
to get a house, right? So we save money, we do all the money saving tips,
And we
we
might
go
not
for
get it.
better jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And so they're not lazy.
I think
No.
the point here, I think the main point is it's not just about the Gen X's, the millennials being the majority of the workforce. I think what we need to realize as leaders or as business owners or as custodians of business is that we are needing to lead different generations, right? So we
Yes.
cannot just go, right, well, we're going to have this many in this, so then we're going to lead that way. We need to realize we're going to have all different generations that we need to lead. So therefore, what do the people need in order from you as that leader? So I think that's an important point to note. And I might add on what the question in there is. I see many larger corporates having really great high performing leader programs where they are looking for emerging leaders and they take them through that development. So Dom, I do see that within businesses, but I don't see it done enough. I'm often working with smaller or even medium enterprise businesses where they're not thinking about succession planning and they're not thinking about development channels. So I think and this is kind of what you're saying too, Dave, I love the concept of, how do we all become a thought leader in the space that we're working in and have that collaboration.
Yeah.
But we've I don't know, it's a real cultural change. And I see some leaders very much like that structure. And it becomes difficult.
Yeah, so here's really interesting, and then you've hit the challenge right in the sweet spot because you can't take a new way of thinking and put it in your old way of doing it and expect it to, right? So you use the word collaboration. Everybody wants to use, we need our team to collaborate more, right? Is collaboration just a new wanky word for teamwork, or does it mean something else? What does collaboration actually mean?
Well, for me, collaboration, I run a workshop on collaboration. Collaboration to me is where it in most situations, I like it to be very much aligned to the strategy, right? What are the things we should be collaborating on? Who should we be collaborating with? When should we be collaborating? Why? What are the benefits of it? And how does it help us as an organization, but even as individuals as well?
But what does it mean?
To me,
what does collaboration mean?
Okay, for me, it's about working together, communicating, and sharing ideas, diversity, being open to other ways of thinking and doing things differently. So that's what I think.
How's that different from working together or teamwork?
Well, because I think working together or teamwork, people see, we've got a process that's not broken. That is broken. Let's just fix that. So therefore, we're just working on things that make us busy, as opposed to working on things that are going to take us into the future or where we need to go with our strategy. So I see lots of organizations being busy because they're trying to collaborate and work on little bits and pieces, but they're actually not being strategic around how do we do it and who do we do it with.
This is a really, really great point you're raising, Dave. Really, really good point. I mean, I've worked with a couple of hospital trusts, and you get into these critical care units, right?
Yep.
Where you've got a surgeon, but you've also got like an anaesthetist or whatever it is, and they are in service to the person who's on that operating table, right?
Yep.
And any one person in that team can say, hey, we need to stop this or do that. That sort of thing works really, really well. But are they just working as a well-oiled machine with a very clear set of what they're trying to achieve, so teamwork, or are they actually collaborating?
Yeah, so here's the defining point. So when you think about that, if the surgeon goes, listen here, anaesthetist, I'm the surgeon, just do as you're told, follow the rules. Whatever like that could be teamwork. It's great. But what you just articulated, anyone can say, we need to stop, right? So
Yeah.
collaboration is when logos and egos are off the table and no one gives a crap who gets the credit, and we're all here for the greater good.
Yeah.
That's when we're collaborating, which is why scientists sometimes can't collaborate because they want to put their name on things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But so when you think about it, collaboration is when logos and egos are off the table and no one gives a crap who gets the credit, and we're all here for the greater good. That's when we're truly collaborating. And this is why collaboration can't thrive in an ecosystem. It can only thrive in an ecosystem.
If I go to the extreme of that,
Yep.
take civil aviation, for example, right?
Yeah.
And Australia, believe it or not, has one of the best records for training pilots. And so you get things like, I was talking to Korean pilots the other day. They've done all their training in Australia because they've got to learn to pilot a plane in English, and worse, they've got to pilot the plane in Australian, right?
Yeah.
So they come to Australia and they learn English, and because it removes that the language biases, but it means that for them it's quite an unusual thing that, you've got a pilot who says, I want another whiskey, and a cabin crew can say, no, you've had enough, right? Because we're all in service of the 300 souls on this plane.
Yeah, we're all here for the greater good.
For the greater good of this plane.
Your rank or
from A to
file,
B.
because everybody answers to something first, not to
That's
someone.
right. Yeah. So
Which
the
is
safety
why-
of souls. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Which is why I was saying is collaboration, it has to be towards something around that strategy, around our objectives, because otherwise which is where I feel so many leaders struggle. They just go, just go and collaborate. And it's like, no, let's not just go and collaborate. Let's actually think about specifically what are we going to collaborate on, why we should, and how it's going to help us.
Why should we even be collaborating?
Like the purpose and the
not
vision.
just be working together here. Let's just be teamwork here. We don't need to collaborate on this thing. And this, because collaboration just becomes the new wanky word for teamwork. It's just like, hey, do you want to collaborate on this? Why are you choosing collaboration over teamwork in this particular situation?
Yeah. Kylie, you run a workshop on collaboration.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So rather than say, why is collaboration good? Well, what happens when you don't collaborate, when collaborating is missing?
Yeah.
Well, again, and I
What's the opposite of collaborating? That's what I'm asking. What's the opposite of collaborating?
Silos.
Yeah.
Silos.
Yep.
And, again, if we think about, and I only just shared some stats the other day from Stanford University, what we do know is people do want to collaborate. They do want to work together. They do want to problem solve. They do want to they have more fun. Yeah. There are absolutely some people that actually go, you know what, I'm just in this silo. I'm happy to work by myself, right? Yeah. But given the opportunity to work on an initiative or a project or something that they're interested in, they'll put their hand up and do it. So we've got to be able to have an opportunity. We've got to have a culture where we actually welcome collaboration and allow, especially our millennials and our Gen Zs, they actually want to work together in groups. They don't want to work by themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. You think of the social isolation that's going on. You have people that want to be able to work together. People think, they just want to go work from home and be by themselves. No, they do want to collaborate. They do want to work together. And this gets back to earlier what I was saying, Colleen, but we need to be able to delegate outcomes to people, not tasks to people. So people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work. Allow them to tap into the creativity, the curiosity, the imagination, the intuition, the human skills that we have, and help them to do more of the work that humans should be doing. Right. And this is where people want to be in those organizations where they can not only bring their best self to work every day, but you can help them from your leadership, help them to become even more of what they're capable of, and then help them to do their life's best work while they're in your care and beyond, and then set them up for the next thing that they want to do. Because they won't want to stay with you forever. And that's okay.
No, that's okay, isn't it? It is okay.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to write a book on how to empower employees through effective delegation. And one of the things that I say to leaders all the time is you are delegating what success looks like. What is the outcome? You are not delegating the how. Imagine if I'm driving to Sydney, okay, I can go the New England Highway or I can go the Pacific Highway. Either way, I'm going to get to Sydney, right? Yeah. It's not for me to tell them how to get there. It's just for me to tell them what success looks like, what the end outcome is. What do we really want from this? When we do that, we empower them to problem solve, to get creative, to get innovative, to challenge their own limiting beliefs and all of that. So it's the same with that part about collaboration.
Yeah. So here's another thing. What does empowerment mean? Because this is another word that gets thrown around people. We need to empower our people. And, you know, empowerment was a buzzword back in the early 2000s, late 90s, and it failed miserably because it was like, hey, I'm a leader now. I need to empower my people. Andrew, here's all the authority and delegation that I have. So
Yes.
you now have all the power and authority as well. And then
Yeah.
Andrew's going, yeah, you beauty. And he's starting to make all these decisions. And I'm going, what do they need me for? Hey,
Yeah.
Andrew, I'll have some of that back. Thanks for a second, because then otherwise they might not need me. Right. So empowerment failed because they didn't really understand what empowerment actually meant.
Yeah.
So what does empowerment mean then? How do we define what empowerment is?
Dave, I got a question for you. You do some amazing work with teams worldwide, right? What's the sort of feedback? Because these are great ideas and concepts, and you've got some great frameworks and models there. What's the feedback you get from people you work with when they go through your programs? What are they? What are they? What
Do
sort of
programs? So, but thank you. So through our process and a system, well, they end up having their best year ever. Their team have their best year ever. They feel like they're actually being able to contribute more. They have a greater sense of meaning to their lives, to the work that they're doing. They feel like they're a part of something. They feel like they actually belong somewhere, right? That they feel a part of something now, and that they have this greater sense of meaning to their lives. And the work they do. And the really cool part is when we can help our people, our team members have their best year ever, your business will have its best year ever. You'll have, you know, in the terms of like lifestyle, culture, performance, and profitability, not just profitability. When talking about best year ever, it's about the owner as can actually step away from the business, knowing that they can control the frameworks, not the work inside the frames. Right, that the people feel like now that I'm not being micromanaged anymore, and I can make decisions, and I can feel safe to have a go at some things, and you know, have learning moments and coaching moments, and so you just get this greater sense of I belong somewhere, that I'm trusted, I'm, you know, and like that I can take greater responsibility, and I have a sense of ownership of what we're doing here. Like, who wouldn't want to go to work like in a place like that where you can, you know, work's a part of life, 50% of our waking hours. That they love the work that they get to do with the people they get to do with, for the people they get to do it for, and get paid well for that, or fairly. Yeah, well, that's what I get from them. Like, how cool is this that we can now work at a place that actually cares about me as a human being?
Yeah. Nice
I don't
one.
feel like a number anymore. And I did a post on this just the other day that if your business only worries about the numbers, they're going to treat you like a number.
Yeah. And my other question for you, Dave, is why do you care so much about this leadership thing, that people get their leadership right? What, you know, for you personally, why do you care?
That's a great question. I care. I got tired of seeing people, like my dad, even myself in my career growing up, just being, you know, used and abused. Like, my dad worked his ass off for years. In organizations. Mom did as well, periods of time, of course, raising us boys. And then I see a lot of friends and that who had just come home and they're miserable. And I really believe that work has a lot to do. You look at lifestyle diseases in the world today that are the biggest killers of human beings, and it comes from stress, anxiety, depression, all of that. You know, I think company culture has a lot of responsibility and ownership in this space for the way that people feel. I've seen a lot of people turn to drugs and alcohol because they're miserable and they're unhappy and they don't need to be. I've watched my kids join organizations, be yelled and screamed at. And I'm thinking, like, this isn't the way it's meant to be. And we've gotten so greedy about stuff and things. I could go on a rant forever, but for me, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was also blessed with great parenting. My dad was a great leader in the community and did demonstrate leadership. Mom was a phenomenal leader in the home, and, you know, which is part of the reason why I contributed to women leading more now. I learned more about leadership from my mom and business from my dad. But yeah, I just see it, and it upsets me that this is a world that my grandchildren, my kids are going to go into, and they're going to be, you know, I want to do whatever I can while I'm here, which is why I wrote my book, so the kids would know the problem that their dad was passionate about solving. And I just don't think it's necessary for us to treat people like this. And yeah, so it's a big, long-winded answer, but for me, it just
it's a great answer.
It eats at my soul when I see it happening, man. Just you know.
Yeah. What about you, Kylie? Because you're in the leadership space too.
Yeah, look, I feel for me, you know, I remember I was 13 when my father passed away, and my dad was a titled manager but I now know and have for the last 20 odd years that he was actually a leader. You know, he just displayed all of these qualities that you see in just outstanding leaders. So I just wanted to be like him, right? So that was my thing. I wanted to be like him. I just wanted to be a manager. And then I realized actually it wasn't a manager. We didn't even know the word title. We didn't even have the title leader back then. And then over the years, I just saw, you know, my background is psychology. As you know, I did counseling for many years. I just love helping people. And I realized that so many people are put into leadership roles because they're great at what they do, but they've never been taught how to lead, right? So it was very much, how do I help others? Show them how to be great leaders, qualities, skills, competencies, whatever you mean. And then the third part, and for those that know me, and Andrew, you know that I'm a single mum to 2 girls. I am helping to grow amazing future leaders, future female leaders. And I want them, and they are already a leader in themselves, but I just want to show them that they can be that female future leader, you know. And actually next month we've got a great we've got a school principal coming and joining us, and she's going to talk about leadership, leading the future generation. So for me, I want to leave a legacy, like you said, Dave. I want to show them actually that we can forge the way that we want to in this world, and that they play a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about
Dave, when we ask people who come on as guests, we say there's a thing that happens where we say we're finished, and then you go, oh, I wish I'd said that.
Yeah.
I wish I'd said that. What's the thing that you said? Oh, yeah. If nothing else, I want to get this one point across. What would it be?
Can he even limit to one point, Dave?
Okay, so I will just, because the one point that we didn't get to finish, which I wanted to get across, was empowerment.
Yeah.
Right? And so the point I would like to leave people with, empowerment is actually about helping people realize they've always had the power.
Oh, nice.
Just making sure they have the frameworks in which they can exercise it within. Right? So when we're talking about empowering people, you don't have to give anything away. It's actually helping people realize they've always had the power. Help your team realize they've always had the power to do this by giving them the frameworks in which they can exercise it, and by helping them bring their best and unleash it in the workplace. And that is when they will feel that they are like a part of this organization, when they are actually empowered from the inside out, not you trying to give them empowerment in.
Yes.
It's not in power, it's empower, right? So
the tools, the resources, the training, the support, the frameworks in order for them to go, you know what, I can confidently make these decisions, do this work, and feel empowered that I'm able to do it. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
That would be my one.
Well, I think we are officially the longest session. So
I promised you, RG. I know he's in the background. I promised you this would happen. And it's only because Kylie, you and I went for half an hour, then Andrew showed up about 50 minutes later. And then so we actually have been 2 half an hours overlapped.
We're going to split it and call it part 1 with Dave Clare, part 2 with Dave Clare.
Thank you, Dave. So great to have another absolute leadership legend with us. And thanks for sharing your thoughts and insights and what you believe the future of leadership is as well, and how you work with organizations. So make sure we're going to get this up. It's already going to be live, actually. But make sure you drop in there how people can connect with you, you know, whether that be on LinkedIn, email, share anything.
You're on LinkedIn anyway. So Dave on LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you to both of you for bringing this show to life and giving people like myself an opportunity to share our passions and our views on the world and things like that, and other people. We need more vehicles like this. We need more people like yourselves. You know, candle loses nothing from lighting another, and the more candles we can light and shine a light so bright that people can start to see what the world should look like and what organizations should look like. And, you know, we need people like you guys continuing to do this. So thank you so much for the work that you are both doing.
Awesome.
My pleasure. And Andrew, lovely to see you.
Better late than never.
Got here in the end. Got here in the end. That's right. Better late than never.
You got here in the end. Thank you. And thanks everyone to our listeners. Really appreciate you joining us tonight, and the questions that come through as well. So keep coming with those questions. next fortnight, Andrew and I, but the fortnight after that, we've got an amazing principal coming on to talk about the future female leaders of our generation. So I can't wait to have her on as well.
Awesome.
Thanks.